Hey everybody, welcome back. I know it's been a little while since we've done a video, and I haven't really done too much with trains, but I've certainly been waiting a very long time for this one. This is probably the most excited I've been about any release, definitely this year. Well, 2021, this is now 2022, but for all of 2021 I was really waiting for this one. And what it is, UP 844. So it's gonna be a long one. This may have to be broken into two parts, but you know, I'd rather cover everything. Certainly gonna have a lot of strong opinions that you may or may not agree with, but hopefully you see where I'm coming from with it. So we're gonna go over everything really in depth. Not gonna leave anything out, hopefully. And we'll get started here on it now. So right out of the box here, there's some things I'm going to talk about that I'm a little bit less than impressed and enthusiastic about as far as the packaging. We're going to take a look at that right now. So VLI has gone to a little bit different style of packaging, and they no longer have a box where the top simply comes off. You have this sleeve. And then you have the model itself in the box here. They've also gone away from including foam and gone to this cardboard with a little piece of styrofoam. You can kind of see it in there to prevent against side impact. This part here is kind of the same as what they've been doing with the locomotive coming fully together. Not a real good fan of this. And it's just kind of cardboard. The presentation's kind of a bit dull. And what I mean by that is, if we take a look at, this is the last style of Broadway packaging before they've gone to this. This is the last Broadway engine I bought earlier in 2021. You'll see that they had the foam, and then they had foam surrounding it. I was less of a fan of this style. I really liked the way they were doing things a long time ago, where the model would come with the tender separately packaged than the engine. And what I mean by that is, we'll take a look at an MTH model here, but it still applies. This to me here is the perfect way of doing really nice steam engine packaging. So you have your foam, and then you also have in here the plastic cases. I prefer these as opposed to just wrapping plastic around the engine and sticking foam and kind of like a form fitted. That kind of sometimes breaks off some of the detail of the engine. If you package it like this, not only does it look great, but it's also going to protect the engine. This is how Athearn does all of their steam. Athearn, as much as I give them crap about a lot of different things because they annoy me, I do love the way they package their steam engines. Even MTH in later years has gone away from this style of packaging and moved to more of the engine and the tender being connected all as one. I just think this looks better from a collector standpoint. And this is how Broadway used to do their engines. So hopefully with scale trains jumping into the steam game at some point, this is not the way to do it the MTH way was, or the Athearn way currently. And moving to this cheaper packaging, you know, it's obviously something to cut costs. But, you know, with the cost of everything going up, I would just prefer that they keep the level of quality consistent and don't go backwards. This is going backwards. So you'll see the model here comes in same protective casing. This is good. So it looks like we got spare coupler up there for the front. And we also have a little tool to take off the side rods to replace the rubber bands on the drivers, traction tires. And let's see here. No bottle of smoke. Of course, most models now don't come with smoke included, just to get around customs. You also have your little funnel there. And looks like they're putting the manual on the bottom here. Oh, that's kind of cool. So it just slides out here. Oh, this looks a little different. Okay, so it's an insert. So you have your manual, exploded parts diagram. I like that they included this separate sheet here, which is just the decoder functions. It's a nice little shortcut to keep around. Not really going to look through the manual. If there's something in there, I'll figure it out. So, the next most important thing is to make sure that this thing is all in one piece. There's no straggling parts. And it is an all die-cast model from what I understand, so I'm going to take this apart off a camera here. Alright, so unpackaging it there from all the factory plastic, took a look over it. I don't see that anything is bent or missing or out of shape, so I mean, at least the model has arrived to me in perfect cosmetic condition, so no complaints there. And we'll get on to the next step here. Union Pacific number 844 is perhaps the most famous locomotive to ever exist. Its history has been well documented over its nearly 80 years of service that's never stopped. It's been on the active roster of Union Pacific for its entire existence. It's also the only steam engine on a Class 1 railroad to never officially be retired. It bears the distinction of being the last steam engine that was delivered to the Union Pacific. It hasn't always been 844 though. From 1962 to 1989 it lost its road number to a GP30, and then it was known as 8444. It's also had a couple different looks over the years, but more on that later. My personal history with models of this locomotive is a bit frustrating. This marks the 6th time that I've had a UP 844, and I've had one from nearly everybody. Rivarossi, Athearn, I've tried them all. I'm really hoping that this is the one. Alright, so let's take a look up here close up at some of the details on here and some of the things that are unique to this engine. And the first thing that you'll notice is that there is this silver, it's actually silver paint that runs along the side here. Also the same color as the numbers and the marking on the tender. It's actually silver. Sometimes in videos online it actually appears white, but it is actually a silver color. That's something that UP 844 looks like now. Previously they did not have that, call them like white wall tires. I'm not a fan of this look. I kind of like how it looked when they didn't have the silver added here and this was all just black. But you know, over its career, it's had a number of different looks over the years. This is meant to depict how it is present day, and I immediately do see a slight mark here. You can see it on the paint there. That's not silver. I don't know if I'll be able to touch that up or not, or if I would even bother with that. Yes, I know I'm sliding it. Not a good thing to do because this does have traction tires on it. So that's why I kind of have the back one off here so it slides along a little bit easier. And it does have the correct silver for the bearing caps. And I want to take a look here at the gap between the engine and the tender. Yeah, that's pretty good. And it looks like you do have some engineers and conductors in there. Nice rivet detail here. And we'll take a look at the tail here. Now on this, I'm hoping that they actually have functional marker lights. Obviously the rear headlight will be functional. I'm not sure if this top light here is functional or not. We'll have to wait till we power it up and see. And I'm going to flip it around here off camera, and then we'll take a look at the other side. Alright, so taking a look at the other side here. More of the same. And good that they have, it looks like, the proper piping there. They don't have unnecessary things in there. Trying to depict a version of the engine in which it had coal, which it does not have coal anymore. It is an oil-fired engine. And it would appear, and we'll take a look at it with it being upside down a little bit later, but you can see here that there is a little hook that plugs into the tender, and it looks like right here the plug comes out. So it is possible to detach the tender from this without needing any special tools or having to take the locomotive completely apart. It does look like that you can separate these fairly easily, and in the same manner that the big boy kind of comes pre-assembled that way. Same type of system here. Next, I'm just kind of freehanding the camera here. We're taking a look at the roof detail. And again, this engine is all die cast. One thing I do notice here at the smokestacks has a very small hole there. Typically those are a lot bigger in most steam engines. I don't know if that affect the smoke flow or not. And we got the bell up front here. Nice front end detail. Again, this depicts the present day version, which no longer has the Mars light above the headlight. I kind of did like that on the older versions of this model. And from what I understand, the marker lights do light as well as the number boards. We'll see that in a moment. Alright, and to give you a little bit better idea of how this comes apart, you'll see the little hook there as well as the plug that you can pull out if you want to separate these to maybe do some work on the tender or even to just the locomotive side of things. While we're down here, something else I want to show you. If you want to turn off the smoke, there is a switch there. From the factory, the default is on. If you can just want to turn that off, just simply hit off. So if you don't like the smoke feature and you're never ever going to use that, I would suggest just turning it off there. That way you don't have to mess with anything as far as CVs. Alright, so finally the fun part of the video, seeing this thing actually run. So I'm going to go ahead and fire it up here, and we got our handy dandy cheat sheet that it comes with for the functions. So a couple different ways that you can turn this on, just as previous Paragon locomotives. I have track power on. Out of the box, these are not set to come on with track power. You would need to address your locomotive address. Now this is brand new out of the box, so it's going to be DCC address 3. I'm not going to cover any type of DC operation just because I don't run anything DC, and I don't really have a whole lot of experience of running DCC trains on DC only. I also really don't have that equipment here to show you. So I don't really have any answers for that type of operation, but this is strictly DCC here, and we're addressed on channel 3, or locomotive number 3. So you can turn it on simply by giving just a little blip up on the throttle, just the speed step 1, that will trigger it on. Or you can do the extended startup, which is F9, and we're going to do that because why not do the fanciest version. Oh, slight problem here. So I just realized that I also had my K4 Pensy Streamline on the track, and I was wondering why I was hearing so much sound and it sounded like it was in stereo. Well, needless to say, I just took that off. So let's try that again. F9. You can hear these fans for the smoke unit power on. And one thing I will say about this right off the bat, other versions of Broadway steam engines don't have very good idle smoke. This one actually does. Typically they just kind of, you don't really get any smoke when you're at idle usually. This is doing pretty good and it's shooting it pretty high into the air. So that's a more prototypical effect. And we'll hit the headlights here. You can hear the dynamo power up. There we go. And I'm going to kill the smoke for a second just because it's kind of choking me here. And to do that, you can hit F7. There we go. And this thing is definitely a smoker, for sure. I really do like the effect on the headlight here, where it's kind of foggy. You really can't see the LED in there, and it's nice and frosted there. Number boards look really good. Out of the box, the volume's pretty loud. We'll go through a couple sounds here. There is a couple different bells you can select. This is the default one. Sounds good, nice and clear to me. The whistle, really interested in this. And there are a couple different ones which we'll take a look at later. That's usually CV224, but we'll go over that later. This is just the one that's programmed on it right now. And it's pretty much the exact same one that they have on the Challenger and the Big Boy. And we got F3, which is the coupler. Come on. Not really doing anything there. And you got F4, which is the air pump. And we got blowdown on F5. And F6 is the water fill. That is one area that I will say TCS just absolutely blows everybody away, as their water fill is the best in the industry. I think a lot of other manufacturers could learn a lot from them on that function. And of course the F7, that turns your smoke on and off. I have it off right now. F8's your mute. And then F9 will shut it down. F10's your oil injector. F11's your water injector. F12 is a brake set, brake release. F13 is going to be your grade crossing sequence, which I kind of want to see that. I may have to use my other system here. I'm not familiar how to do that on this remote. So we'll tackle that a little bit later. Alright, so let's see the thing run. I'm going to zoom out for a second there. Move the camera back a little bit. And I'm going to turn the smoke back on for this part. So we're going to speed step 1. That is extremely fast for speed step 1. Very, very fast. Let me back it up here. Alright, I'm going to do a little bit of work off camera here with the CVs. I think that should be a lot slower for speed step 1. So I'm going to go ahead and work on that a little bit, and then we'll see what we got. Alright, so I did mess around with the settings a little bit, particularly CV2, which is your start voltage. I'm not sure what this had out of the box as far as a setting, but I did find that it looked like the value of 1 for CV2 seems to be a nice starting point for it. It seems to be the slowest that it will run, and we're going to actually see just how slow that is. So we're going to go to speed step 1 here and see what kind of speed we're working with. For this test, the closest to 1 mile an hour scale speed, the better. It's looking like it's a little quicker than 1 mile an hour, but we'll see. That's not right. I think our batteries might be bad here. So we're going to try that again. Alright, so I believe we're okay for this test now. It looked like my batteries for my speedometer here, which haven't probably been replaced in 2 or 3 years, finally wore out. So we're going to do the test again here, speed step 1. And see what we get. Like I said, it looks to me to be a little bit quicker than 1 mile an hour. Maybe closer to 2. Yep, 1.7. Not a particularly good result on that part. You'll also notice, so I turn it on again here, a significant amount of motor hum. That's simply a result of, for lack of any clearer words, poor decoder. Because I can promise you if you put TCS on this, ESU, soundtracks, that completely goes away. Other brands of decoders do not have that problem. And just remember, that's more robust motor control. That's a feature you pay for with Paragon 4. Do you feel the need? I definitely feel the need for speed. So I did turn up the CVs, CV5, which is basically your top speed. I set that to the max value of 255, so that should prove to give us the top speed result of this engine and see what it can do. Now, I've only run it, maybe a couple feet backwards and forwards here, just what you saw in video so far. So this engine is by no means broke in. However, I don't hold a lot of stock in that, just because a locomotive's performance as far as speed generally doesn't change with how long you run it. So I'm pretty sure that our results here are going to be pretty typical of what you're going to get. So we'll go ahead and turn it up here gradually. And it does have some factory momentum built into it, so it's taking a little bit to get going here. And I'm running on 32-inch radius here, so shouldn't lose too much speed in the corners. Oh, no result. Ooh, that's pretty good. Prototypically, these are supposed to be able to reach 120 miles an hour. However, most times they would just never exceed 100. 102, pretty good. We'll give it one more pass. $102 again. Alright, pretty consistent. We'll go ahead and back it down here. So some things to keep in mind there. In that speed test, we don't actually have any cars on it. So generally most locomotives are going to run their best speed with nothing on them. However, once we get a passenger train loaded up on it, what we really want to aim for is about 80 miles an hour, because that's typically believe what they do top out currently on their present excursions is they usually don't go faster than 80. So if this has the ability to do 80 miles an hour with a load of cars on it, that is very, very good. And I don't like running momentum on my engine, so I probably will set CV3 and 4 to 0 just to take that part out, but you can move those values how you feel accordingly. Alright, so this next part is going to take me a very, very long time, but for you it's going to be a very, very short time. And what we're going to do next is I'm going to get out all of my Union Pacific Heritage cars, and it's probably going to take me an hour or two to unbox them all and get them all loaded up on here, but we're going to run a legit UP Excursion train the way it's meant to be done. So I'm going to do that now, and I'm probably going to call it a part 1 here. And we'll come back for part 2 next, and we'll get into some additional things with it. But that's going to be it for part 1 here. Stay tuned for part 2. Should be coming in the next couple days.